All right, guys, today we got a 2014 Ford F-150 with a 3.7 liter in it. This thing shut off going down the road and every light on the dash came on. Let's get into it. Let me give you the client's concerns. So the client states that over the weekend he was driving when the vehicle lit up with all the lights on the dash and the radio went out. So that's a clue. We need to keep that in our head. The vehicle then died. Okay, the vehicle then died while driving. He had it towed to his work. When he went out to start the vehicle, it would not crank or start. It does nothing. The tow truck driver got there and said that the vehicle has power, but it won't turn over. So that's what we got to look at. So shut off going down the road. Radio doesn't work. Let's go in here and let's kind of see what it's doing right now. I mean, we're told it does nothing, but it's got power. Definitely got some power. Classic work truck here. All right, key comes on. We've got a check engine light that actually does come on a bulb check. We've got nothing. Here's something clicking. All right, we get a clicking over there, which was probably normal. Let's check the radio. Radio does nothing. That was a little weird. The lights were off on it and then the lights came on it. Maybe the lights just did something weird. No? Look at here. Let's see if it does it again. These lights. So this was on. All this was lit up like this is. And then it went off. No, nothing's happening even with this. So we got no radio, and then we had something weird happening with those lights. That's strange. Okay. Let's try this one more time. Let's see what other kind of, I saw some warnings come up on the dash. I was focused over there. Let's see what kind of warnings got. I guess 167,000 miles it looks like. Right rear door is ajar, tire pressure monitor fault, starting system fault. Okay, makes sense. Tire pressure light is flashing and the driver's door is ajar because it's open. Let's see what else. Right rear door. All right. So it's saying that the right rear door is ajar. Obviously this one's open, that one's not. So I don't know what's going on with that. We've got a tire pressure light flashing and we've got a starting system failure, which we know. Here's my first thought whenever I see something like this. So this could be something with the body control system. And the only reason I say that is because we have no radio. This funky little light thing with the HVAC system. I want to, and you know, a lot of times we would say radio and all that stuff. Why are we even worried about that? Well, that happened when this thing shut off or when right before it shut off. So I want to get, this would be an instance. You guys know we use lots of different scan tools here. This would be an instance where I would use a factory scan tool on this because I want to get into the body system of it. Now, a lot of aftermarket scan tools, your Top Dons, your Altels, are really good at getting into your body control systems 100%. But if I have the option of using a factory tool, if I'm working on the body side, a lot of times those factory tools will do a little bit more or sometimes a lot more than an aftermarket tool. So if all you got's an aftermarket, okay, let's get that thing hooked up. But we're going to hook up a factory tool on this thing and let's scan it. Let's see what kind of codes we have, and let's see what's going on with this radio deal and starting malfunction. Got our AE Tools laptop with our Ford software on it. You guys know AE Tools is a sponsor of the channel. We really appreciate them. You guys want to, if you're looking for any kind of OE software, go check it out. We'll put a link down below. Let's go ahead and give a full system scan on this thing. We're going to come right here. Go to self-test, and then we want to get all our continuous memory trouble codes. This will scan the whole vehicle here. This doesn't do like a lot of the vehicles do, a lot of the newer scan tools and stuff. This doesn't have the topology with all the where you can see like the little boxes with the networking and all that in the modules. But this is going to give us all the codes in the vehicle. It's going to do it pretty quick. Usually is. Here's all our codes. Let's take a look down and see what we got. So we see BCM, 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 front control module. Let's just go through here. What passes? So nothing in the ABS, nothing in the engine control module. That's interesting. Won't start. All right, let's go here. All right, patch transponder, missing message. Fault is currently present. All right. Here's the thing about that, right off the bat, I mean, that could definitely cause this vehicle not to start, no question about that, but I've never seen one cause one to shut off going down the road. All right, we've got a tire pressure problem, we knew that. Another tire pressure issue. All right, front control module, we lost communication with the body control module, lost communication with the radio, okay. We've got the global positioning module, lost communication with the body control module. Here's our HVAC, lost communication with the body control module. All right, occupancy. All right, this one says previously detected, not currently present. And then we've got our lost communication with accessory protocol interface module. Okay, and that is in the restraint module. All right, what else do we have down here? So these are all fails, but a lot of these may not be on there. Audio control module. Basically what it says here is it was not able to communicate. All of these over here on this side, it was not able to communicate with them. And these, a lot of times you'll get a bunch down here, but it could be that this vehicle is not equipped with that. So it's possible it doesn't have an audio control module in it. Accessory protocol interface. Hold on now. Didn't we see something? Look at that. So the restraint module says it lost communication with the accessory protocol interface module. Here we have accessory protocol interface module, and it is not communicating on the network. All right, so this restraint control module believes that module is in here, so we're going to take that into our, just think about that and just have it in the back of our head. Let me just scan down through here real quick. Radio transceiver module. Okay. Transfer case. And this is not full-wheel drive. So, okay. All right. Makes sense. Let's go ahead and let's go into the body control module. So we're going to go into data logger. I want to just look at some data here. I want to look at the PAT system is what I'm going to look at first. And only because I want to see if there's something weird about the PAT system in there right now, just because we've got that code. All right, this is going to take me a minute to find these, so bear with me. So I've picked out the things that I think are going to be pertinent here, just to kind of give us a quick idea. And I also, a lot of the PAT stuff, but then I also picked out, if you see the driver's door switch on the right rear, I just want to see if it says it's stuck open or something. So let's just so right now it says it's ajar, which makes sense. We're going to come back to that. I'm not worried about that one. All right, so a lot of the ignition switch stuff here. Here we've got ignition, accessory run, active. Key is in the on position right now. Ignition. Let's just go ahead and okay, so that's me running it, putting it to crank is right now. So we see that and the good thing about Ford is this. If you haven't used Ford software, you're new to it, if you click on it, if you click on this and you see the box goes around it, the black box, come down here to the bottom and it'll give you a really good description of what that is. That's very helpful. I wish everybody would do that. So we click on that. That says ignition start input circuit. And we see that's inactive. If I go to the crank position, you see that it goes active. And what I'm looking at here is just, does anything see this switch is actually moving to start? We see the ignition switch state goes to start. Key code invalid says false, so that's good. Keys program, there's 5 keys program. There is a key in this switch. All right. PCM ID is stored. PCM verify, no. All right, PCM verify, no. That could be an issue. So I'm going to have to look this up and just see if I'm thinking about this right. But I believe what should happen here is we should put the key in the ignition and we should go to the on position. It should send the key is putting out there's a coil antenna around this ignition switch. It's going to pick up the transponder from that key. It's going to verify that that transponder is correct. Well, it's going to send a signal to the body control module. I believe this is right. It's going to send a signal to the body control module to let the body control module know about the key. The body control module is then going to send a signal to the powertrain control module with a code that's going to verify that what it's got is correct. And then the PCM should send back a signal to the body control module that says, yep, everything looks good. We can go ahead and start this engine. Now, I think that's how this works from memory. I'm going to look this up, but I think that PCM verify should say yes if everything's functional. Now, we did have a code, remember, for the PATS transponder here, or the PATS, coil. My only problem here is I just do not think that would cause this car to shut off. I've never seen one. Once this car starts, if it has a security issue with the key problem, it's not going to just shut off going down the road. That would be a huge safety issue, that if the key were to somehow get damaged or something, the car would just shut off. So I just don't think it may be the problem with it right now, with it not starting, but I don't think it caused it to shut off. So let me go ahead, and I've got a way of actually testing that coil. Let me grab that little tool real quick. Let's check that just to put that out of our head, and then we're going to move forward. So let me get that. So this little tool right here, super inexpensive. I bought it off of Amazon. We'll put a link in the description. I found out about this from Pine Hollow Diagnostics. He was working on a Nissan that he had an issue that he thought possibly was the exciter ring or the coil behind on the ignition switch. So I saw him use it, and I thought, man, that thing's super easy, quick, and it's under $10. I think you get two of them for under $10 actually. So here's what should happen. I'm going to set this around this, close to this ignition switch. I'm going to take the key and slide it in. Now, what I have found is if I slide the key in really fast, this thing, if it's working, this LED will only blink for just a millisecond. But if I just put the key in where it sees the keys, entering the switch or the lock, then that transponder is looking for this, or that coil, I'm sorry, is looking for this transponder, and it will sit there and blink, blink, blink. So let me go ahead and try to put it in there and just see. I'm just going to put it in slow. So it should be blinking right now, and it's not. So if I did, normally if you just do that, it would go boop, boop. But if I do that, it should be sitting there blinking right now, and it's not. All right, so this is not, this coil is not functional. Now, again, I want to try to do this logically. Could we take this down, start checking powers and grounds and communication here? Sure, we could. My problem is this truck shut off going down the road, right? And I'm just telling you, that thing going bad is not going to shut this truck off going down the road. I've never seen that. You guys leave a comment down below if you've ever seen it. I'm still thinking, okay, this truck shut off going down the road. The radio stopped working. We don't have AC. We don't have any HVAC. We have a lot of stuff that's saying that. A lot of modules are saying, I lost communication with the body control module. Now, we can communicate with the body control module, but something's happened there. And I'm going to lean more towards something there. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to pull up a wiring diagram, and we're going to see if we can't figure out, does anything here kind of coordinate together? Do we have something with a body control module, radio, patch transceiver, maybe even HVAC, whatever? Does any of this stuff have some kind of common denominator that we can go to? I mean, I know the body control module is going to be a common denominator, but let's go ahead and look and see if we see something else that could have happened that would lead us in the right direction quickly, as opposed to, chasing down a hole, looking at all these individual things. I went in and I pulled up some wire diagrams. I've looked at those for just a minute. Before I get to those, I want to show you guys something. I went into the PATS system, and I just looked at description operation of the PATS. And a couple of things stood out to me. One is the PATS, and I'm not going to sit here and read this whole thing to you, but the PATS system is controlled by the body control module, and there are two main checks that the PATS carries out to allow the engine to start. If either of these checks fails, PATS does not allow the engine to start, and starting system fault is going to be displayed in the system in the message center, which we have, right? So that's kind of all making sense now. So the two checks are the BCM verifying the PCM ID to make sure it matches the PCM ID stored in the memory of the BCM, and to verify that a program key was used to turn the ignition to the run or start position. Okay. The first check is initiated by the BCM waking up the PCM by supplying voltage on the wake-up control circuit. All right, and that happens when the driver's door is open, remote start, brake pedal, key in the ignition, run start. Okay, so I'm sure we can go on the PCM data and look to see if that's happening. So we're going to look at that in a minute. Once the PCM is awake, the BCM sends the PCM a challenge message. So I was a little wrong on the way this thing works. The BCM sends the PCM a challenge message. BCM sends a PCM a challenge message as soon as the PCM is awake. So before the keys even, the door can be open and this is going to happen, I think. So because up here it says when the driver's door is opened, that wakes it up. That wakes up the PCM. So when the PCM receives the challenge message, it generates a response and sends it back to the BCM. If the response from the PCM does not match the response in the BCM memory, this first check fails and the engine will not start. Okay. It doesn't really tell you what that's going to look like on the scan tool, but it does say next, it says once the PCM ID has been verified. Okay, so now we're going to go back to this one and go, that's the PCM ID. Well, let's jump right back over to this, and here's the PCM ID says stored, and there's the PCM verify, no. So we're not getting that message. We can see that right now. So now that we've looked at that information, we know that that's not happening right off the bat. Let's move on anyway, because I was just continue to read because I want to know if there's anything else that I need to know about, that would pertain to this. When the BCM determines, once that PCM has been verified, the PAT's performing a second check to make sure there's a program key in the ignition. The BCM determines the ignition has been turned to run or start. We know that's happening because we saw that. It generates a challenge message. It sends a challenge message to the PAT's transceiver. So the PAT's transceiver is the part that's located behind the key. It's around the ignition switch, the ignition lock cylinder. So the transceiver in turn reads the key and generates a response message back to the BCM on the RX, on the receive circuit. And if the message received from the transceiver does not match, then the engine won't start. Now, here's a really key part. This last sentence right here. If both the PCM ID and the verification process pass, a PATS enables allows the engine to start. PATS cannot disable the engine that has already been started. So just by looking at a real quick description and operation, which you guys know that I just preached that, now we know, one, that PAT system is not going to shut this vehicle down going down the road. And that's our complaint. So we've got to say, we have a PATS problem right now. We know that. We know the PCM's not verifying. We know that the transceiver is not functioning. We saw that with a little tool. But none of that matters at this point because this car shut off going down the road. And this all happened with that. So we're going to have in our mind the PAT system's not functioning. What can cause that not to function? Well, and cause the end to shut off. Body control module is going to be our prime suspect at this moment, or a communication issue with the body control module, wiring issue, connection, something like that. So let's jump onto a wiring diagram now, and let's look. I want to look at the PCM wake up, which we know comes from the BCM, goes to the PCM. I want to see if this is getting that wake up at all. I want to see if that BCM is able to even do something to send that wake up signal out to the PCM, which we know should happen when the door's open, the brake pedal's pushed, the keys in the ignition, are on. So let's look on the data. Let's see if we go into the PCM, if we even see that is a PID in the PCM. So let's jump on that. I've pulled up the PIDs. I can't find the wake up PID. I don't think there is a wake up PID. I looked through every single one of them. If you guys know that there is one, let me know, but I couldn't find it. I did get PATS disabled or PATS enabling criteria, or, if it is or isn't. I've got PATS type is timed, and then are we getting the start request over the CAN bus? And where is the key? Is it in the start position? So let's just go ahead. Key's on right now. Going to the crank position. We see that the key goes to crank. We see that the start request over the CAN goes to yes, but we see PATS disabled. So again, all this is playing into the fact that our system, our PAT system is definitely not functioning at all. It doesn't look like in any way. So I jumped over to the starting system diagram, and just to look at, where, I mean, the car won't start, won't crank. What do I need to have this thing to crank? So here's our body control module. We've got a fuse going down to our ignition switch. And we have to say that that fuse is good because this switch is functioning. We can see that, the output's coming out of it in the body control module as well as the PCM. This comes down, goes back into the body control module for the start. Okay, we're getting that. Comes down here and goes into our powertrain control module start. We're getting that. So once this PCM gets that, now it would have to get the okay from the PAT system. Once it gets all that, it's going to activate our starter motor control relay, right? So let me back this out just a little bit. You guys can see it. It's just going to control the starter motor control relay on both power and ground going to that relay. We're not worried about this whatsoever at this point. We know this PCM is not going to do that because the PAT system is not functioning. One thing that's kind of interesting is on this starter motor control relay, on the starter motor relay control circuit, we do have the audio control module, which is kind of strange. I don't know why that would be there. I don't know what. Maybe that's to turn when the vehicle goes into the crank position or the start position, that it maybe turns the radio off or something for a second. Don't know. So from here, I just went into the engine control, and I wanted to see where the wake up signal, where does that, I know where it comes from, but how does that kind of work? And it just popped right. I mean, we could see it. Let's see here, PCM wake up. So it's right here, PCM wake. Come up, and it comes up over here, and looks like we get power to it, obviously from the body control module, but it comes from a fuse in the body control module. Let's blow that up a little bit. So it's coming from fuse 18, 10 amp. It's going into a transistor and then coming out and going to the PCM for a wake up. It's also going, look at this, to the anti-theft transceiver. That's the piece behind the lock cylinder, around the lock cylinder. So that's interesting. So we are going to go, I also looked at the sound system just to see if this fuse here was maybe part of the radio, and I did not see that it was, although we see the body control module once again is a big player in that radio, no pun intended. So we're going to go to the BCM now, and we're going to go to this fuse and just see if we've got power on it. It's because, we need to start somewhere at this point with the body control module, because I think that, all signs are pointing to it. But I just want to go in and see if these fuses have got power here. Let's see if these fuses have got power, and then let's go forward from there. It's looking like body control module or communication issue once again, but we've got to start somewhere with these fuses. So we accessed the BCM. So BCM is part of this, the interior fuse box over here. We've got this little panel off. We've got the cover off of it. We've got fuse 18. That's our first one. That's our wake up, fuse, and that also went power to the transponder, or the transceiver. I'm sorry. So I've just got my test light here, and I'm just going to go into this fuse, and let's see if we get power. Got power on one side. Yep. So that fuse is good. All right. So we've got that's functioning. I'm just real quick now. I'm going to jump over here, and I'm going to look at these, what fuse numbers we got on the radio. And that's going to be fuse 29. We're going to do 29. I definitely want to do 38 because 38 is coming out of the relay. So 29, 38, and 9. 29, 38, and 9. 9, 38, and 9. All right. 9 is here. I'm going to get to that real quick. That's basically right. That's going to be fun to get to. It's literally right next to that relay. 1, 2, what's 9? I gotta make sure. I got to get under there and see. It's going to be this fuse here. We got power on one side. Can you see that? Okay, and then, all right, that fuse is good. We got fuse 29. Nice. That's the very bottom one next to here. That side. That fuse is good. And then the last one was the 38, which is the one coming out of the relay. 38. And it is the second. Next one is this one right here. And it's got power coming out of it. This is a bit perplexing. And I'm going to tell you which way I'm going to go. And I could be going down a rabbit hole, but we'll go down it quick and then we'll back out if we have to. We've got power out of those fuses. Now, the PCM wake-up deal, I could go out to the PCM, see if it's getting the wake-up signal. But if we read into that description and operation, this ain't nothing to do with the PAT system is going to shut this vehicle off going down the road. So I don't think if we lose the wake-up signal, it's going to shut it off. The only way I would know if the body control module is actually hitting that transistor and sending that signal out to the PCM would be to go to the PCM, back probe it. I just think that's going to be, I think that's going to be going down a rabbit hole. I think that's a waste of time. I went back and reread the notes from the client. Client said that the lights on the dash came on, the radio went off, then the vehicle shut off going down the road. Let's go back over to and we've got power out of our BCM to our radio on all the fuses that feed that radio. And we have no radio coming on. And people would say, well, why does the radio have anything to do with this? Radio's got something to do with this. Or at least if it's not the cause, it's a symptom for sure. So we're sitting here and I'm kind of going through this in my brain. Move this out of the way. And Sherwood was kind of just touching the radio stuff. And remember what I told you about this light coming on earlier, and he touched this and he held it. The clock comes on up there, but he just sat there and held it. Boom. Then this came on. Radio does not come on, and that's going to go back off again. So then I went in and looked at, let's jump into another wiring diagram real fast here. This wiring diagram is the network wiring diagram. And I come over. This vehicle does not have the Sony radio in it, so it doesn't have any of this stuff in it, right? But it does have the audio control module, which is the radio, right, at the center of the dash. And it does have, it looks like, because it says with sync. Let's jump over here and we'll show you. It does have sync, right? So with sync, it should have this accessory protocol interface module, the APIM. So these two are in the vehicle. Let's jump back over here into this. Remember when we could not communicate with this ACM, audio control module, which now we know is the radio, or the APIM. Can't communicate with either one of those. And we have the RCM here saying that lost communication with the APIM. A lot of acronyms there. This is going to seem a little crazy. I'm pulling the radio. I want to get in behind this radio, this whole column here, and I want to see if the APIM or the radio. I just want to know if it's doing something funky. They're both, they're both on the bus, and the audio control module is only on the medium speed bus, not on high speed, but the accessory protocol is on high speed. So, and medium speed, and they're both on the ICANN, which I think is just the information network. What is the difference between medium and high speed? Medium, well, high speed CAN is for things that are really, really important to be fast. So obviously anything engine control, anything anti-lock brake control, anything with your airbags, all that stuff's going to be on high speed. Anything that is a really needs really fast communication to make stuff happen. Medium speed and low speed CAN would be things that, like a seat control. We don't need that to be super, super fast. If you push the switch, you're never going to know if it took, more than a few milliseconds to get to make the seat move. But if a airbag needs to deploy, that few milliseconds could be life and death. So those are on high speed. And then the less important things that don't need speed are on either low speed or medium speed. So, but that accessory protocol module, interface module, it does have high speed CAN going to it. Now we can communicate with the body control module. We can communicate with the PCM. We have access through the scan tool with all this, but at this point, just feel like we need to pull that radio out. We're going to pull the radio out. I mean, if I waste my time, I waste my time. It's okay. I looked up the APIM. I just wanted to see where it was located. It says behind the center of the dash, but it's actually not behind the radio. It's up here. I want to start with that. That's got the high-speed CAN. It's got medium-speed CAN to it. I just want to start with that because I think it's going to be easier to get to. So we move their rocks. We've got some, looks like we got a couple of bolts here. Let me go get something to get those out. Okay. Let's see what we got here. This is it right here. So I want to take that and disconnect it. Well, I just saw something happen on the dash. I don't know what that was. Maybe that was just because I moved. Okay. We definitely won't have the radio now. Pulling the radio, pulling the ACM out and seeing if this isn't somehow some crazy thing is causing this car not to start. I mean, it would be absolutely crazy, but I just don't see it happening. We'll see. Nope. So we always tell you guys we're going to show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. When we make mistakes, we're going to tell you about the mistakes, show you the mistakes, because the biggest thing I want all of y'all to know is I don't care who it is. You're not going to have every single diagnosis just go boom, 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 and we wish that we could get there on every one of them, but there's going to be some that you're going to just kind of do this a little bit. Well, I did whoop, whoop, that on this one. Went way down a rabbit hole. Pulled the APIM because we had no communication with the APIM, no communication with the audio control module, which APIM you guys saw in the video is behind here. You didn't see when I pulled this apart, got to the ACM behind here, disconnected all that. I'm like, I don't know how in the world we can communicate with everything, but yet the vehicle won't start. We got all these PATS issues, but the thing shut off going down the road. I mean, the PATS issue is not going to cause it to shut off going down the road. All right, well, didn't follow my own advice and went down a rabbit hole. We stopped, backed up, put that back together and said, stop. And Sherwood ran inside. It's just so y'all know, it's Thanksgiving Day. We came in here to do a video on Thanksgiving morning where it was quiet. Sherwood's giving me a look right now. So, and we've got a few minutes to get to the house for Thanksgiving dinner. But I had him call the client. I'm like, I didn't have him call the client. Actually, he said, I don't remember how he actually came to it because it was crazy, but
I just didn't like the notes. None of it made sense.
None of this kind of made sense that this thing shut off going down the road with this issue. So, and we were going down a rabbit hole thinking that some crazy thing happened with the radio because the notes were the radio shut off, lights lit up, radio shut off, car shut off. So anyway, call the client. Client says, okay, here's what happened. The radio stopped working. Lights came on the dash, I'm assuming. Radio stopped working. He said, oh, that's weird. He pulled off the road, shut the vehicle off, tried to start it. Wouldn't start. Okay. Well, while Sherwood was going inside to talk to him, I said, oh, we're backing up. I put this back together. We're backing up. That was a waste of 20 minutes. I want to know if we've got the wake-up signal from the BCM to the PATS transceiver and to the PCM. I was going to go to the PATS transceiver because we know it's not working. You guys saw that with a little light. So that's where I was going next. And I wanted to access the BCM. I was going to check it coming out of the BCM and at the PATS transceiver. So I pulled this panel off of the BCM. You guys saw it was just sitting here. I wish you guys would have been here for this one, but I just, it was sitting here. I just pulled it off just so I could access it. And then, I don't know why, it's just a habit of mine. I started just pushing on the connectors and watch this. This is how it is now.
Let me get down there with you.
Right, but I want you to try to start it right now.
Oh, okay.
Just to show everybody. Still doing the same thing. Got nothing. You're going to get that warning on the dash that it has the driver's door and the starting problem and all that stuff. So you want to come on down here? Watch this. I don't know if you can see. Here. Watch this. That was the first time we started it. I did not start it before then. I wanted you guys to be there when we started it. Vehicle's now running. How did that connector get disconnected? I have no idea. None. And you saw that we were down there probing the fuses earlier. I didn't see it. Maybe you guys saw it on the camera. I don't know. We'll watch the video back. I'm going to take it loose right now. I mean, it's latched. Look at this. It's latched in place. It's not going anywhere. So I'm going to try to... Honestly, I didn't even look. There we go. I'm going to try to loosen it up.
Yeah, see if it won't shut off.
It doesn't. It wasn't all the way disconnected. It wasn't all the way. Because if you all the way disconnect it, you lose every single thing.
And it shuts off.
Right? It was there. That's where it was. So, I mean, here, let me get this light down here. This is crazy. Look. If that thing pushes even the slightest little bit more, we just lost it. But no, hang on. There. We just lost it. We just lost everything. I'm moving it back and forth right now. You guys see how far that's moving? Can you see it in the camera?
Hold on,
Let me know.
Good.
You see, that's done. Whole car's off. That is dash on. That's our problem. That's where our problem was this whole time. Now if I take this and I don't know how in the world did it get that unlatched? If I do that, we get everything back. Radio just came on. Car's gonna start. Everything's done.
I mean,
An incredibly simple fix, right? Incredibly simple fix. And here's the deal, and I know a lot of you are going to say, oh, somebody must have kicked it, because it's definitely in a spot where it can be kicked. The thing is this was 100% in place, right? And this cover was here. All of this was in place. So you put that back in there, and you're not kicking that connector. So I don't know. Have y'all ever seen that? You guys seen that connector on this BCM? I've never seen that before. So I don't know. It was an easy one. I went down the rabbit hole, guys, and you know, it was a combination of I didn't follow my own rules. I should have gone with this car won't start. PAT system won't work. You know, it's not functioning. The PAT system is what was keeping this car from starting. But instead of focusing directly on that, I focused on the radio came on, or the radio's turned off, then the car shut off, and then the car wouldn't start back up again. And I went down a rabbit hole of, I got to figure out how that radio caused this car to shut off. So it was definitely not good notes from the client, but you know, that's our job to get those notes. I'm not blaming the client at all. Maybe that came across wrong. I'm 100% not blaming the client. That's our job to get those notes so that we don't go down rabbit holes like this. So good news is this one's fixed. So, you know, I give thanks that this one's fixed on Thanksgiving. So anyway, all right, guys, hope you like this. If you did, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. You know what to do. Leave some comments down below. Have you ever run into something like this? Or have you had notes that caused you to go down the wrong path before? Love to hear about them. So leave those comments down there. We appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.